Hello?
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 Revisiting ancient sites of winter mistakes, on a line of clues, a cruise of thoughts, circumnavigating Venus and the lamp beside the golden door. I recall.
Yeah, so I'm asking you, if you were to imagine.
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 Pumping the bellows, keep the fire lit, power my arms. Pumping the bellows, keep the fire lit, power my arms. Pumping the bellows, keep the fire lit, power my arms. Pumping the bellows, keep the fire lit, power my arms. Pumping the
My
bellows,
father
keep the fire lit, power
used
my
to
arms.
demolish metal
Pumping the bellows,
and
keep the
magnetic
fire lit,
fields,
power my arms.
maneuvering cranes, laying his warmer right hand
Electric donkey.
on the spine
Electric
of the
donkey.
subalpine
Electric
skyline.
demolish metal, electric donkeys, maneuvering cranes, electric donkeys, demolish metal, electric donkeys, maneuvering cranes.
He sure knows how to get stuff done.
Then he became a star, shooting back and forth like a drunken cyclist on a dynamo bicycle, slaloming heaven, pedaling to be seen.
Sparklers,
At the beginning, there were sparks.
real sparks.
I should warn you, this is not another play about love.
Before we begin, you should find a comfortable place to sit.
Oh, this is so hard. Is Jules a he or a she, by the way?
Her face appears.
Relax your body by closing your eyes
Every image must be tested.
and focusing on your natural breathing pattern. In, out, in, and out.
I let the dense foam of my cappuccino fold over my tongue and begin to write it all down quickly,
Slowly.
as though any second the light
Open
might
your
change and
eyes.
she will vanish completely.
Tilt your gaze gently upwards. Fix your gaze on a light bulb. Making sure the light bulb is turned off and not too hot to touch, carefully take that light bulb out of its socket. Picture the light bulb being made. Is it made by a person? I wonder. Have you ever thought this much about a light bulb before?
Difficult to capture.
Difficult to capture.
Difficult to capture.
While my mother on Earth,
Fridge, snacks, radio, stove, lamp, television, washing machine, bottle of wine, switch, fan, couch, windows, phone, hairdryer, batteries, paper,
while my mother on
Bowl.
Earth used softening
fabric softener,
liberally because the world has been so harsh.
harsh, demolish metal, maneuvering cranes, sword fight sounds of metal on metal,
Harsh.
At least the laundry is dreaming.
dreaming,
Dreaming.
Dreaming.
and focusing on
And
your natural
focusing
breathing
on your
pattern.
natural breathing pattern.
In, out,
out. In.
and out.
I was catching the tube with Archie,
I recall.
taking him to meet his mum at Heathrow.
Fabric softener,
We heard the train as it approached. The wheels shrieked, and there were the usual sword fight sounds of metal on metal as the train slowed.
Harsh.
Down the tunnel, one of the rails suddenly sparked, sending out bright flashes like tiny bolts of underground lightning. At the beginning, there were sparks. The train is splashing, Archie said. It's splashing. What's splashing, Archie? The splashing light. I don't like the splashing. It's okay, I said, crouching down. It's just sparks flashing from the wheels. But I don't like it. We should go on a different train. No, we need to get this train, Archie. I manoeuvred us clumsily through the doors.
Why were they splashing?
I don't know, Archie. The wheels just spark sometimes. It's nothing to worry about. Archie was unconvinced, nervous in his seat, but I didn't have the energy to reassure him anymore.
Didn't have the energy.
There was a man sitting opposite us. The ID on his lanyard said, Tom Jules, apprentice electrical engineer, London Underground. At his feet was a fluorescent orange rucksack. He smiled and I gave an apologetic smile back.
I'm scared of the splashing.
Archie repeated quietly, the quietness of a child on the edge of tears,
It's safe.
said the man opposite.
The sparks won't hurt you. Real sparks. There's electricity in the rails, and a part underneath the train works like a big wire, which joins up with the electricity. Sometimes the electricity has to do a little jump onto the train. That's what makes the flashing light. It's not a dangerous thing.
Is it electricity like in a hairdryer?
Archie asked suddenly. The man looked across at me and I smiled.
Yes, but it's more powerful. The domestic supply in your house, that's 240 volts. But this line's operating at
He paused, realising he'd perhaps misjudged the level of detail required.
630 volts. It's nearly 3 times as much as a hairdryer. But yes, it's all electricity.
And in light bulbs?
Have you ever thought this much about a light bulb before? I interrupted. Is it okay if he asks you questions? The man smiled and nodded.
Brilliant.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Yes, it's all electricity. Some of it gets to make the light shine, some of it makes the train go forward, and some of it makes the doors open.
How does it make the train go?
The man asked me an unspoken question with a slight lift of his head. Holborn, I answered. He pulled a sheet of graph paper from his orange rucksack and began to talk and draw.
If you were to imagine.
There were running rails and power rails and a sketch train engine and some things I half recognised as the symbols for batteries and bulbs. Archie was fascinated, not understanding everything but hanging on every word of regenerative braking and solenoids and direct current. I listened for 20 minutes, enjoying the calmness of the man's voice and the way he patiently followed the labyrinthine logic of Archie's thoughts. Other passengers listened too. Archie's questions were answered and the paper grew busy with circuitry and motors, pluses and minuses, the arrangement of wheels on the track, and finally, a scattering of lightning sparks to show the power arcing between the train and the rail.
Miracle.
This is us, I said, when a pre-recorded voice announced that customers
Should change here for the Piccadilly line.
Archie seemed reluctant to leave. He could have spent the whole day talking to his new friend about trains and wheels and electricity.
Dreaming.
Dreaming.
Come on, I said. We need to go and meet your mum from the plane. The man reached forward and wrote something else on the paper. A phone number in a gap between a wire end and a battery. Thank you, I mouthed, and he smiled back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Holbrook Maternity Hospital, Derbyshire, March 67. I'm told you really lit up the room.
Wonderful. Scale electric. Endless circuits of the track.
Fantastic.
Phenomenal.
Me and my brother listened to that radio through the night, every night through school.
Happy.
Cheers for making my PS4 work and my TV.
Thanks.
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 Keep up the great work.
Helpful.
Healthy.
Jules makes my hair stand on end.
That
See?
reminds me of being at school.
Hang on.
Oh.
What do I do?
What are we doing?
You just rub it on your hair. It's great fun.
Exactly. That's it.
That's it. And then you rub it on your head.
Rub it on your t-shirt.
Hey! There we go. Bing, bash, a bong, bong.
How fuzzy is it?
Is my hair even
Is
on
it gone?
Try it on mine.
Working on mine. Oh,
Does it work?
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, yours
Look,
works.
It's gone. It's gone.
Oh, that's great.
do it
Vicky's is away.
No.
Wow.
Oh,
You static. You is autostatic.
Oh. Hold on.
Are there any more balloons?
Oh,
You can stick it to the wall as well.
Joule. Standard unit of work.
When there is
equal
work
to the
to be
work
done,
by a
you can
force
always
of
count
1
on
Newton
joules.
when its point of application moves through a distance of 1 metre in the direction of the force, equivalent to 10 to the power of 7 ergs and 1 watt second. Energy.
The players.
The capacity for vigorous activity.
The mosquitoes. Nanojoule. Captain. Microjoule. Millijoule.
Available power, an adequate or abundant amount of such power.
The rockets. Terajoule. Petajoule. Captain. Exajoule. Zetajoule. Yottajoule. Goalkeeper. Gigajoule. A game full of energy and incident.
Enter.
Force,
Big
power,
Ollie Jr.
Money making.
Stage
I
left.
am very busy and important.
Honking his horn.
Planes, Heathrow, escalators, trains, cars, SUV, rails, motorways, airports, Google offices, stadiums, war zones, oil rigs, space, switch, Sky News.
My friend
fan,
Jules
couch,
recommended this
window,
stove to me.
Phone, hairdryer,
But
password, batteries.
I don't know.
Fabric softener, planes, Heathrow, computer databanks, escalators, running tracks, trains, cars,
So,
SUV, wires.
I bought the stove.
Motorway, the tube, boxing gym,
And it wasn't
counties,
cheap.
Google offices, kids nursery, stadium, war zones, coal mines, oil rigs, space, Piccadilly line, skeleton.
This will be the
printer,
best.
snack, radio, suitcase, stove, laptop.
This will
sparkler,
solve
television,
all
lamp,
your
television,
problems.
Bottle line, switch, Sky News, fan, couch,
Stadiums,
windows,
railways,
phone,
toilets,
hairdryer,
space,
pass, war
radio
zones,
stations,
coal mines, oil
stations.
rigs, space.
He's always doing this to me. He makes things seem so simple. But then when it turns out not to be the best...
Dirty.
Dirty.
She used to leave the lamp on
Fabric
to
softener.
pretend we were in, but the burglars stole her necklace, nonetheless.
Harsh.
And the bailiffs, the television, in the end.
Dirty. We sit around, charcoal-mouthed, and stare at the floor.
Dirty.
Dirty.
We sit around charcoal-mouthed and
Sit around
stare at the floor.
Charcoal
We
mouth.
sit around charcoal-mouthed and stare at the floor.
Dirty.
In your lungs.
In your lungs.
Lungs.
Your lungs.
Lungs.
In your lungs.
Lungs. The room was even darker than when she'd laid down some hours before, and already then it had been pretty dark. But she'd heard something. Slowly, she turned her head to pinpoint the source of the sound better. Shit!
I just worry sometimes that we don't really enjoy his company as much as we used to. I suppose what made me start to wonder was when I realised that sometimes when you reckon he'll turn up as normal and, hang around like he does, but then when he just doesn't show up, people seem sort of excited. I guess it's just the novelty of, I don't know, having to do without his company. People behave differently.
You may suddenly find you have a lot of time. How do you...
What are we...
Maybe... Imagine.
Dreaming.
Dreaming.
Dreaming. Sun. Mm.
Imagine.
Mm.
You may suddenly find you have a lot of time. I can't charge my phone.
Can't.
Can't.
I can't.
No cake, no tea, no coffee?
No cake, no tea, no coffee.
No.
No. Can't.
And now I'm stuck.
And then he's suddenly just there again. And everybody pretty much just goes back to the way they were before.
Repetition.
Repetition.
Repetition. Repetition.
Repetition.
Repetition.
Repetition. Repetition.
Repetition.
Repetition.
Repetition. Repetition.
In the early 90s, when everything was fine, my sister used to do her hair for half an hour every morning. She melted the ice caps with her hairdryer. Is there electricity like in a hairdryer? And left the house at 7 so soft. While I stayed in bed, 6 years old, mesmerized by the hum of the age.
Maybe I don't really want to know.
Literally depend on you.
Windows crisscrossed by wire.
Always have.
Making frames within frames within frames.
Hum.
Black snakes strung up and dripping raindrops.
Hum.
I feel jewels in my muscles, in my brain.
Drug addict, that's the first thing that came into my mind.
Swoons.
The choice is mine,
Drug pusher.
but I do nothing.
I just can't get enough of you.
Hypnotize.
Repetition.
My mind is constantly on elastic to Jules, and her eyes that fix me like they understand me, and I am loved and accepted. No question.
A story that has no ending can hardly begin at the beginning. So somehow, I find myself in the middle.
Oh, this is so hard.
Oh, this is so hard.
Oh, this is so hard. 20 years later, a stray cat would settle, enchanted on my overheating laptop, dreaming in the fan noise, the way I would in the winter.
I love you.
I love you.
I hate you.
I hate you.
I love you.
I love you.
I hate you.
I hate you.
I love you. I hate you.
My lips form your name and spit it out with anger.
You're being rude.
Clean up your act.
Get your storage cupboard in order.
Buck up your ideas.
This irritates me for more than one reason.
I raise one eyebrow.
Tush, tush.
You're being rude.
Clean up your act.
Get your storage cupboard in order.
Buck up your ideas.
This irritates me for more than one reason.
I raise one eyebrow.
Tush, tush.
You're being rude.
Clean up your act.
Get your storage cupboard in order.
Buck up your ideas.
This irritates me for more than one reason.
I raise one eyebrow.
Tush, tush.
Neither of us really wants to think about the end. I hold on to the sink and stick out my tongue, clean my teeth and wipe my darkening eyes with a phlegm.
Frenemy.
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 Some of my friends have voiced concerns that our relationship won't last or won't remain the same.
And we've already seen that happening.
I'm not saying that I don't want to be able to just call him up when I want. Just that sometimes I think we could do with some more time apart. That sounds awful, doesn't it? It almost sounds like an abusive relationship.
If we're talking about Jules...
But it isn't like that, I promise. It's only that he seems to be always around. It could be hard to get some space, some quiet, you know?
At the laundrette, hypnotised for 20 pence a minute, pressing my spine on the golden door of a tumble dryer, tempest tossed, absorbing the repetition of tropical hurricanes.
You only have to look at cyclones or sea ice melting or... That's all forms of energy. Jules is just saying, OK, you want energy, here, take it, and throwing it in our faces.
I've got a strong instinct that I'll go first.
And it comes back to the fact we're not treating that energy with the respect and awe it deserves, because it's not just the Earth's energy we're talking about. We're talking about the Earth's energy as a representation of a much larger cosmic universe. Energy that finds expression in this little thing that we live on.
Hello?
And there's no way to control that. We don't really know how big the universe is. How are you going to control it? So I think it's the human desire to be in control which sort of blinds us to the fact that it's not possible.
Work with this material. So are we supposed to be...
Once more without banging.
Okay. And what's the best way to work with this material?
Sun, wind, rivers, water, turbines, sea, solar fields, waves, sun, wind, rivers, water, turbines, sea, solar fields, waves, sun, wind, rivers, water, turbines, sea,
solar fields,
waves, sun,
wind,
rivers, water, turbines,
wind,
sea,
rivers,
solar fields,
water. How do you convert the output from a turbine to 50 Hz mains frequency?
running, splashing, current, scattering,
current,
sparks, arcing,
scattering,
light, open,
arcing,
powerful, sea,
powerful,
joins up.
swoons, and is caught.
Miracle, precious thing we take for granted.